Hi there, welcome to another Blackstone Fortress character focus video here on Bearded Brushstrokes. As you can see, I've donned my third eye because we're going to be focusing on the navigator character. Now try not to look at the third eye. Don't look at it, it'll send you insane. And while you're not looking at it, I'm going to stick the model together. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we're back, and as you can see, for your safety, I've closed my third eye. I wouldn't want any of you to be bleeding out of your eyes, or vomiting, going insane, or dying, or anything like that. So that's gone for now. Let's have a look at Espern Locarno, who is our Imperial Navigator character. Here he is, ready to be primed and painted. We'll be showing that off a bit more later on when I've had a chance to do some painting. In the meantime, let's have a closer look at Espern's character card. Okay, so Espern's character card is this one here. Here we are. Let's give that to the camera a bit more. And what do we have here? Well, Espern is move of 2. Which I'm finding to be pretty much the average for this game. He's got a defense of square icon, agility and vitality are all the same as well. And he's got 4 actions available to him per turn. Now, initially when I first started playing this, I was comparing it to other Quest products, and what you find there is that the average move is actually about 3 spaces. Okay, so why do I think it's different in Warhammer Quest Blackstone Fortress? Well, Blackstone Fortress is on hexes, which makes really much more dynamic dungeon tiles and dungeon layouts and maps, so you can have a lot more replayability and things like that. What it also does is it means that the characters are exiting their spaces through 2 additional edges. Okay, so they've got more room to maneuver. And add to this that the spaces, the hexes, are actually bigger than the squares were in any of the previous dungeon products, which means that, as it's actually stated in the rules, your characters can actually occupy the same space as each other, which means that, all in all, you don't need as much movement because you're not going to be manoeuvring around things, you're not going to be moving through things as much. So it just means that you don't need to move as much. Okay, moving on to Espern Locarno's other stats. His defense, agility and vitality all use the square icon, which is this D6. Now the D6 in the special D6, at least, there's plenty of other ones in there. The special D6 in Blackstone Fortress, it has 4 blank sides. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, 1 success icon, 1 critical success icon, which means that you have a 1 in 6 chance of getting a success, or a 1 in 6 chance of getting a critical success, or, using my super advanced mathematics, you have a 1/3 chance of getting, that's 33% chance of getting any successful roll. What can we draw from that? Each of those stats on our navigator friend here are a bit poo. So he's not a tank, he's not going to be healing very much, and he's not good at dodging or making gambits. What is he good at? If we look a little further down the sheet, once again, here we are, his weapon actions, we can see that he has his Force Orb Cane and his third eye. pop that down there. Looking at his Force Orb cane, many of the characters have a combination of a pistol and close combat weapon where it's probably worth more to damage wise and chance of hitting closer up, because you're able to use both the pistol and the close combat weapon at the same time. Locarno doesn't stoop to that. Locarno has a Force Orb cane which he uses to smack people who come too close to him. And actually, in Quest at least, he's the equal of the priest who we'll get onto, Thaddeus the Purifier, in terms of hitting power, up close anyway. Where he's really different then is that he has a dedicated ranged attack in his third eye. Navigator's third eye, as I've hinted at earlier on, is quite the weapon. It's generally used to look at the warp and sense warp currents, sense where the Astronomicon is and plot courses. But it also means, this third eye, it's not really natural, and it's a direct way of looking at the warp without going insane. So if you or I'm guessing none of you are navigators out there, I apologise to my Navis Nobilite viewers if you're watching. But what this means is that you can use the Navigator's third eye as a weapon, and he does. He uses a D8, which is that triangle symbol, that triangle icon on the character cards, when you are right up close, and that gives him with 2 success and 2 critical success, along with 4 failure blank sides there, with a 50-50 chance of hitting somebody up close. Now this changes when a character gets a little bit further away, because I think it's got an optimum range to it, to the D12 or the pentagon icon. Now that has 4 of each result on there, so 4 failures, 4 successes and 4 critical successes. That means you've got a 2/3, it's kind of the opposite of the D6, a 2/3 chance of getting off a hit that actually does anything, and a 1/3 chance of killing an awful lot of enemies on one shot. Because of course it does a grievous injury when you get a critical, and a grievous injury does 3 points of damage to hostiles. Now that's only when we're looking at a range of 2 to 3 hexes. When we get beyond that, the third eye loses a little bit of its power and it reverts back to a D8. So really, he's quite useful at a medium kind of range. Beyond that, it gets a little bit ropey. But not only that, but here we are. If we look a little bit closer at the bottom there, when it gets to unique actions, okay, we've got Force Barrier and Mental Command. Force Barrier is absolutely fantastic. On a 5+ roll, okay, so 2 in every 6 rolls, and remember you can use Destiny dice for this, and more on that in a minute because he's got quite an interesting interaction with the Destiny dice as well. But on a 5+, Locarno can change his own defense ability from that useless D6, there it is, into a D12, which means he goes from having a, as I say, a 1/3 chance of getting anything good to go off to having that 2/3 chance, quite reversing the probabilities there. And not only that, but if you already have, as is the case with the robot UR25, if you already have a D12 as your defense dice, you get to roll 2, and that synergizes really well with UR25's abilities, as we'll find out, because UR25 would then have 2 rolls of the D12 and then be able to re-roll any of the D12s that didn't come up with a success because of his own self-repair ability. Okay, so he's quite good at synergizing with at least one other person in the party. and we can get rid of that useless defense score on a 5+ every turn. On top of that, Mental Command is a brilliant ability. On a 6+, you can move a hostile 1 hex. Now, there's no range on that. So, Locarno can point across the battlefield and go, that guy there, he's hiding behind cover, come out a minute, and move a character from cover, where, I don't know if you know how the hit rolls work in this. If we were shooting with the D8 and a character behind cover, obviously that's a failure on the blank side there. But also, because the character is behind cover to represent the walls and things like that getting in the way, that is also, despite the fact that's normally a success, that is also a failure. So actually the only thing that hits in a where the enemy is in cover is a critical hit, critical success, and even then it counts as a normal success. So whereas it would normally do 3 points of damage, in this case it would only do 1 point of damage. So how useful is it to be able to point at a guy, pull him out of cover, and shoot him in the face with full power? That is absolutely fantastic, and because of that, Locarno makes an excellent support character. Now, not only that, but because the navigators are psychers, our man Locarno has one more trick up his sleeve, and that is that he is a psychic. See that down the bottom there? Special rules. Okay, psychic. Now, I said he had a particular interaction with the Destiny dice. My good friend Tom, that is 20-Sided Life over on Instagram, will find this particularly comforting because he's very good at what I'm about to describe. When you roll the Destiny dice in this game, you are looking for as many unique rolls of those 5d6 as possible, because any duplicates and all of the duplicates get removed. So if you happen to roll a Yahtzee, that is 5 of the same number on the dice, 5 6s for example, all of those 6s would be removed and would be unavailable for your characters to use. And those Destiny dice, let me tell you, can be the difference between life and death. We'll cover that a bit more if I do a review of the game, which I think I'm going to end up doing because it is fantastic. Okay. What Locarno does with his psychic ability is he can take one of those dice that Tom has accidentally thrown away by touching them, and pull them out of the discarded pile and put it back into the usable ability. So, in that situation that I just described, one of those 6s at least would be useful to the rest of the party. Quite often you find that you'll end up with 3 dice available, and one of them. 2 of them have been thrown away. Well, in this case, you could yank one of those back out again, and they're available to the rest of the party. Again, this can be the difference between life and death. Now, what you might have also noticed at the bottom of the card there is that Locarno has a secret agenda. His secret agenda is to find the secret coordinates. Okay, have the secret coordinates discovery card. Now, those discovery cards can only be found by searching, okay, or possibly trading in Archaeotech when it comes to the trading stage. And I've skipped ahead a little bit there and shown you the inspired side. Here we are. So once you get that, or you find 3 inspiration points, which again can only be generated in this case by killing bad guys, which he's not bad at. Sort of like the renown system, but very, very stunted. You'd probably be more likely to find the secret coordinates. He becomes inspired. So let's take a closer look at what that does to the rest of his of the expedition for Locarno. So looking at that, still got move of 2, not a problem. Defense and agility remain the same, but his vitality goes up, which is brilliant. And we know that we can pretty much ignore his defense score, because anytime we get to change from the D6 to the D12, I think we're going to be doing that. So what else happens? His Force Orb Cane goes from a D12, so 2/3 chance of hitting, to two 50-50 chances. Now, that's not quite as good straight off the bat, as in, a 50-50 chance is not as good as a 60-40 chance, but slightly more than that. 66-34. There we go. He's rolling 2 dice and picking the more desirable outcome, which is brilliant. Okay, so that ups the odds straight away. What also happens, that's the third eye. What also happens is that the Force Orb Cane also has that hitting on the 2d8. Now, still doesn't have any extra range, and the third eye is still only really limited to that sweet spot in the middle there of 2 to 3 hexes in range, but that is so much better than just the flat D12 there. His unique abilities, all that really happens with those is the ability to put up the force barrier. It was activated on a 5+ action roll. It's now a 4+ when he's inspired, and the ability to psychically command. That's to yank somebody out of cover and put them in line for your sniper rifle shots and things like that. Is also upgraded from needing a 6+ to activate to needing a 5+, so he becomes a little bit more efficient. And that's his character card. So we're going to be moving on now to the stats in 40k. So I will go and grab my 40k datasheet book, and I'll be right back. See you in a minute. Okay, hi there, I'm back, and I have with me Espern Locarno's character stats for Warhammer 40k. And what have we got? Well, Espern can move 6 inches, which is about normal for a human in 40k, and that's basically what he is. He's a human noble with some extraordinary abilities, so we wouldn't expect much more there. Where I was surprised is that we go from having the D12 with its 2/3 chance of hitting to a 5+ weapon skill and ballistic skill when he's hitting people in combat or shooting, which I found quite surprising, as I say, because we go from 2/3 chance of hitting to 1/3 chance of hitting. And whilst he's not a combat beast, I feel that we'd expect a little bit more from Locarno. Moving on though, he does have 3 wounds, so he's actually quite resilient in terms of how much damage he can take. Of course, everything in 40k, or many things in 40k, do multiple damage rolls. So we'll see in a moment that that's the case with the Force Orb Cane, for example. He's got 2 attacks, 3 really, because he's got a pistol, so he can shoot people as well, which is quite cool. Was one of the things I like about this edition of 40k. He's only got a leadership of 7, but then again, he's not really built for combat. He's a support character, and he's got a save of 6+. So there's really heavy robes that he's wearing are really only the only sort of physical protection he has. Moving further down his card, his stats there, we see that, and I'm not surprised at this, he's got a 4+ invulnerable save generated by his psychic mind powers, and so he's a bit more resilient than you might think at first glance. On top of that, as I say, he has a las pistol, which he can use to fire in combat. It's a pretty standard issue across the Imperium. We all know what las pistols do: 12-inch range, pistol 1, strength 3, no AP, only 1 damage. Okay. On top of that, he also has his Force Orb Cane, which is only melee ranged, of course, and his only strength user, which I was quite surprised at. I was expecting it to be a bit higher strength, but it also gives him D3 damage with no AP and strength as user, as I say, but that D3 damage could be quite useful. In terms of psychics, he is a psyker. He knows 1 power. That power is Smite. He can dispel 1 power, and unlike a lot of other psykers that I've come across that just have Smite, the only modifier to it really isn't the range or the power. It is that at up to 12 inches away, which I suppose is a reasonable distance to be able to see his third eye, he can use his third eye to augment the power. And what that augmentation does is, rather than going from him to the closest model and going, right, that guy there takes D3 wounds, it actually bypasses that and allows him to pick a model within 12 inches from a given unit and shoot that one. So you can pick characters like champions out of a unit, or people with special weapons, or people whose faces you don't like. You can just go, that guy there, I don't like the way he's looking at me, I don't like his face, I'm going to make it explode from the inside out with mind bullets. Okay, so there we go. He is a Power 2 Imperium Navis Nobilite character. So as an elite choice, I think he's got space. There might be space in a given army for him of the Imperium. I don't think we'll ever see a Navis Nobilite Codex, but it's quite interesting in terms of sort of plans and things that Games Workshop might want to do going forward, sort of synergies and things like that. So he's Navis Nobilite, he's Imperium, he's Power 2, he's 30 points off the top of my head at the moment. I don't know if we'll ever see any wiggling on that in Chapter Approved, because I don't know if he'll get used. You know, he's an interesting character. I wouldn't say he's an overly powerful character. Probably more at home in narrative and open play than anywhere else. But time will tell. He might be the most powerful character in the game. I don't really know the meta for 40k, if I'm honest with you. The quest products and the sort of fringe products are all I really play at the minute. Anyway, that being said, that's everything I have to say about Locarno. And well, do all the usual stuff for me, please, if you will. That is the like, subscribe, and share. Comment if you like. Always open to reading your comments. Check out the links to Instagram, Patreon, and at some point soon Twitter and Facebook. And I will see you next Friday for another character focus. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Thank you. See you next time.